Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Hiro Kono speaking from Japan. I'm a professor at the Keio Business School, and my background is manufacturing and production and operations management. Therefore, today I will talk about the perspectives toward post-corona, post-COVID evolution, taking the case of the Japanese manufacturing companies. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay, this is the title slide, and I'll take questions. And if you have questions, please bring your questions to the live Q&A using the chat function of the on air. And I'm on the first slide. I'd like to tell you a bit more detail about the my background. My field is production and operations management, and I'm a professor of Keio Business School. And my research field is manufacturing, especially in the field work rather than desk theory. And I'm interested in managerial impact of Kaizen activities, and therefore how to sustain, support Kaizen, small day-to-day improvement is my curiosity. And every year I plan to visit 20 to 30 factories, both in Japan and overseas. And I'm a certified total productive maintenance auditor. Therefore, I visit factories and I evaluate factories. And in this way, I'm thinking that many people are concerned about the impact of COVID-19, and its impact is rather prolonged. And we are concerned about the uncertainties and the futures, and we are worrying about the growth of companies. But my major point is that rather than thinking about the future, we should take care of day-to-day improvement activities. That is most important, rather than just worrying about the future uncertainties. Next slide, please. And if we think about the past history on the time frame to consider the impact of COVID-19, I have to think of the 2 years previous time or 3, 4 years from now, and we were in a sort of the normal operations, and we enjoyed profit sales, and we counted cost, and we were evaluating our corporate activities, especially manufacturing companies. And from around February, March 2020, we needed to start thinking about the impact of COVID-19, and it is already 1.5 years ago. And many companies will were actually influenced by the COVID-19. But at the same time, some companies, especially in the field of medical science, information technology, artificial intelligence, big data, these companies rather enjoyed great growth of profit and sales. But automobile industries and semiconductor industries and manufacturing assembly type industries, these industries were heavily affected by COVID-19. And after June 2020, we have started the vaccination activity all over Japan. And 2021, this year, 3, 4 months ago. And many companies tried to enjoy the big recovery from the COVID-19. But the reality is two sides of the coin. Still, some companies are really affected negatively, and some companies are really enjoying growth of sales and profit. And we are concerned about the some secret about the behind the story of the growth of sales and profit during this very tough period. And many scholars, researchers, and experts try to find some secret to grow during this tough time. But my simple answer to this question, my perspective is that there is no secret behind the success of manufacturing companies. Rather, more important is the accumulation of day-to-day activities, even during the period before the COVID-19. And if we try to think about the future of the society, then now accumulation or start and continuity of day-to-day activity, day-to-day improvement in terms of quality, cost, delivery, these things are more important rather than trying to find some secret or some way, successful strategy or things like that toward the growth of sales and profit. And next slide, please. And before talking about the manufacturing companies and managemental issues, I'd like to say things about the our fundamental standpoint. One thing I want to mention is the bias called normalization bias. Well, many people say that we want to go back to the pre-pandemic period. Well, 2 years, 3 years ago, we were enjoying our daily life. Therefore, we want to go back to normal life. And previous daily life is nothing more. But this tendency, this way of thinking has a risk of neglecting what we should have learned during this very tough period. This tough period is an opportunity to learn, to look back what we should have done and what we can do toward the future. Therefore, this sort of normalization bias, we cannot neglect this normalization bias, and we cannot criticize this bias completely. But at the same time, we have to be very careful to bring some fruit to learn toward the future. That is something to stop and realize the meaning of the normalization bias. The second thing I want to mention is the excessive pessimism or excessive optimism toward the future. Some companies, top management may say that sales will continue shrinking, therefore, we need to do something. And the other companies may say that sales will recover shortly, therefore, but we need to stop and think that both stories are just looking after market conditions. Some industries may grow, some countries may recover, but other countries may be different. Therefore, we cannot simply say that the future is pessimistic or optimistic. Rather, we have to be competitive enough to survive in the industry. There are many competitors, and if we surpass our competitors in some essence, say quality or cost or delivery, short delivery, then we can now survive In that way, we can hope to increase our sales and profit. That this is very important. Therefore, excessive pessimism or optimism cannot bring fruit. That is my understanding. Next slide, please. And I want to say a few more things about our recognition toward the COVID-19. One thing is respect to individual value recognition. That, that is to say that if we say that everybody should do the same thing, for example, everybody must take vaccine, then we can criticize somebody who are not willing to take vaccines, but we need to pay attention to the individual value, and we cannot simply say that everybody or the whole world. This sort of thinking can bring a very big danger to our life. Therefore, before thinking about the management issues, we need to pay attention to the difference of individual countries, industries, and therefore we cannot come to a simple conclusion that some industries should go to this direction or other companies, other industries should go to another direction. Rather, we have to be well independent and we have to compete in our own arena. That is my point. And another thing is that the everything should go virtual. Is it really true? That is my question. Especially, I'm a manufacturing guy, therefore, manufacturing cannot go virtual. And in manufacturing sites, even at the emergency period, which is still now true in most of the area in Japan, well, manufacturing companies are running their operations. And the same is true in the distribution centers. Therefore, we cannot simply say that everything should go virtual. We need to pay attention to the value of the face-to-face, and at the same time, we can do many things virtually. Today's presentation is virtual, but if we can meet each other, then we can bring something different. Therefore, we need to combine the virtual and real, and it is quite dangerous to say that everything should go virtual. In that way, we cannot insist a simple single answer during this tough period. And my last point about the fundamental standpoint is that the rigidity of global supply chain is a key factor to support smooth manufacturing operations. We are in shortage of semiconductors, wire harness, especially in Southeast Asian region countries, and we are well faced with the prolonged uncertainties, and there is a tendency to try to find some shortcut to find or to come to some solution, and in that way, we tempted toward the short-term oriented values, but management is required to have long-term perspectives. That is quite challenging, but it is the essentially important to have both short-time perspectives and long-time perspectives at the same time. Okay, next slide, please. Well, I want to take a case of the Toyota automobile industry, Toyota production system, which is well known under the three characters TPS. And my lesson from the case of Toyota is that the companies which have supported continuous Kaizen activities for a long time have fundamental strengths in corporate culture, in my understanding. And corporate culture means the strength or competitive edge in the quality, cost, delivery to, to win in a very tough market or competitive conditions. And this is true both during the pre-COVID period and with COVID period and even post-COVID period. And I want to say a few more things about the Toyota production system. Next, please. This is a figure will illust often will appear in the textbooks, and the horizontal line is the water, and on top is the ice, and in the water, or there is a big the rest of the ice or rest of the stone, and we tend to find some problems on top of the water, on top of the surface. But the Toyota's lesson is that there are many root causes under the surface of the water, under the surface. Therefore, we need to dig into the root causes, and we need to eliminate root causes. That is the problem solving. And if we look at the surface or some problem identified on top of the surface, then we just touch upon the surface of problems, and we cannot go into real details. And Toyota insists to eliminate 7 types of waste, that is overproduction, inventory, idle time, and transportation, defective production, motion itself, and processing itself. And Toyota tries to identify root causes and eliminate waste by repeating why questions. And Toyota is very eager to eliminate thoroughly the total waste. That is, in Chinese character, we use this haijo elimination. These 2 Chinese characters are different from Japanese language, meaning that the total elimination. We don't usually use these 2 Chinese characters. Instead, we use different Chinese characters. But in Toyota's dictionary, these 2 Chinese characters are both true and correct. And our normal daily Japanese language is wrong, which is being said by Toyota people. So Toyota is very eager to eliminate total waste by identifying root causes. And this results in just-in-time and jidoka production. Next slide, please. And one thing I want to say even to myself is that the Toyota first announced the essence of the Toyota production system, TPS, to public by publishing a book under the name of the Toyota production system in the year of 1978, which is already 43 years ago. And this book, TPS, Toyota Production System, is still in public, is still printed all over, but here all over in Japan. And Toyota still repeats the spirit or philosophy or importance of Toyota production system every year, continuously over 40 years. Well, there are many people who say bad about Toyota and who support Toyota, two different types of observations. But one thing which is peculiar and which is true is that the company still insists the importance of the spirit, fundamental spirit, which was announced 43 years ago, even before the world trend of the information technology, and there is no smartphone, and the period was quite different in terms of technology, but still toward the automobile industry evolution toward autonomous driving and case production and global supply chain, Toyota still insists the importance of Toyota production system continuously every year for over 40 years. And as a result, Toyota enjoys the fruit of 200 billion yen profit, which is not sales, just profit, which is the second or third record high in the history during this pandemic period, which is the result of 2020. And I want to mention that if we compare the automobile industry companies, say Nissan, Mitsubishi, Honda, Mazda, these companies are doing well. Some kind of companies are in difficulty. Some companies are doing well, but all companies are really affected, negatively affected by COVID-19, and some companies may want to say that we want to go back to the pre-pandemic period. We want to go back to 3-4 years ago, but Toyota never says that sort of thing. So we are looking toward the future, and the fundamental base is the Toyota production system. This is one thing we want to learn. We need to learn, and rather than criticizing Toyota production system, we want to bring some fruit. We can bring some lesson from the case of Toyota. Toyota was very eager to tackle elimination of waste for 35, 40 years. And then COVID-19 came to the world, but Toyota still enjoyed big growth in sales and profit, especially profit. And this is one thing I want to stress in my talk, to think about the future of manufacturing companies. And Japan is a sort of the country that is not so speedy to tackle COVID-19, but we were rather slow in starting vaccination activities, and we were not so very quick about the future looking activities, but still we find some very good examples out of manufacturing companies in Japan. And my thinking, my understanding is that we can bring some lesson even to the management activities in the global perspectives out of these Japanese manufacturing companies. Next slide, please. And I have talked about the my viewpoint and what we need to learn from the case of Toyota. And I want to bring another case of Japanese manufacturing company, which is named KOA Corporation, which is not so highly known manufacturing companies, but which is the Tokyo Stock Exchange or major list company, one of the Tokyo Stock Exchange list companies, and the which is a registered manufacturing company in Nagano Prefecture, which is a central Japan, and which has about 1,850 employees and 30 billion yen sales. So it's a middle size, not the like huge size company, middle size companies. And similarly to Toyota, uh, which is this company is very well known by the name of the KPS KOA profit system, which was started in 1987. And the company is still continuing KPS activity, which is now phase 3. The first phase was phase 1 and moved to phase 2. And the stress point was first productivity, next quality, and currently reliability. And slightly changing the target, the essence of the KPS is the same as Toyota, elimination of waste. And this company is trying to especially shorten the lead time. And this, there are many well-registered manufacturing companies, and most of them are removing the manufacturing sites to overseas, especially to Southeast Asian companies or China. But this KOA is producing over 90% of sales in Japan, and actually nearly half, 40% of sales go to the overseas, Europe and US. But still, the company is producing over 90% in domestic operations. And the increasing labor cost and high infrastructure cost, but the company is still enjoying big profit, especially the profit over sales was recorded to over 10%. Highest record is 14%. And next slide, please. I'd like to say a few things about the main products. The KOA's main product is very small, tiny, or square flat register in inches, 6 by 3 inches, which is a 1.5 millimeter to 0.5 millimeter in the square, very small, tiny piece, is the major product, whose sales price is less than 1 yen per piece. Therefore, very small sales, and the total volume is increasing, but the sales will not increasing. And recently, the company registered industries are producing the smaller one, no, 404 by 02, which is a smaller version, but which is almost infeasible for operators to handle this small piece. Therefore, still 06 by 03 is the major product. And please remember that the sales price is less than 1 yen per piece. And then how to earn profit is the next question. Next slide, please. Probably for audience, there might be some questions. If you have questions, please upload your questions to the live Q&A site. And how to earn profit with this low price registers. this is a question, and the president, top management, were trying to reduce costs by factory automation in the during the early stage of 1980s, because the sales price was decreasing, and the price was decreasing. Therefore, the company KOA tried to reduce cost by introducing factory automation rather than the labor-intensive manufacturing. And the Kowa was awarded by Nikkei newspaper company as the first factory automation prize winner in 1984. And just 1 year later, there was a plaza shock. The demand decreased, and therefore the company was attacked by the high burden of the factory automation cost, and the heavy burden of investment really affected the corporate result. And the president, CEO, completely converted, reversed the direction from factory automation to improvement, steady day-to-day improvement. And the company introduced Toyota production-based Kaizen activities, which was named later as the KPS, Core Production System Activity. And the one lesson we want to bring is that we need to decide quickly which way to go. And oftentimes, factory automation cannot decrease cost dramatically. Rather, factory automation is the way to enjoy big fruit by mass production. But if production lot size decreases, and then the factory automation cannot produce big profit, rather the depreciation cost will damage the company. Therefore, this course, quick decision, was very successful. And next slide, please. And year by year, KOA tried to introduce the machinery, develop machineries in-house, and instead of large machines, this company KOA tried to develop small machines, and the operators were changed from single skill operator to multi-skilled operators, and production planning function was shifted from headquarters to manufacturing company to manufacturing shop itself. In that way, company was trying to reduce the production lead time, and day to day, the company tried to eliminate waste, decrease inventory, and will try to realize small lot production system. And next slide, please. In that way, continuously making improvement, the company realized, the next slide, please, the lead time of 3 days from start to the end of manufacturing. At that time, industry average was 7 days, and Core's reality was 3 days, and Core's final goal, even that is the final goal still today, is a single day. And in this way, the company is very competitive in terms of delivery. If other companies, competitors cannot answer to the request of the customers, Core can deliver products in very short delivery time. And a small lot production is the strength. Well, average lot size in competitors is about 10,000 pieces, but the lot size of core is only 1,000 to 2,000 pieces. Therefore, core is very strong in to respond to the small lot orders. And low variable cost is another strength. Core enjoys a high yield and no low maintenance cost. Therefore, in terms of variable cost, cores is the core's result is very low in terms of cost. Next, please. This this slide actually reflects the result of the core's result. Bar chart is the sales result. It went down in the year 2000, which is in the middle, and after that, the line indicates the profit, and sometimes it goes down because of the Lehman shock, and 2011 is the earthquake, East Japan earthquake, and 2019 is the China-U.S. trade conflict. Therefore, the sales and profit goes up and down, but still the overall tendency is growing. Actually, the company enjoyed the big growth in after 1987 up to 2000, but the company actually changed the mode to a sort of the rather broad way of thinking that can be explained in the next slide, please. Before 2000, many companies, especially registered competitors, believe that our resource is almost infinite. We want to conquer competitors and we need to win in the competitive conditions. But the course president realized that the resources are finite and we need to coordinate with the natural resources. Therefore, COA will not seek for a single profit. Rather, COA will coordinate with nature and return the fruit to the employees and the Nagano prefecture itself, and even to the back to the nature itself. And next slide, please. And before 2000, growth was the major target, but we need to change our mindset to coordinate our growth. Even slow growth is accepted. Rather, we need to enjoy our daily life. We need to coordinate with the nature and environment and earth. That is the spirit or vision of the core itself. And next slide, please. And I want to bring some lessons from the case of core. One thing I want to stress is the importance of the elimination of waste. And one thing I want to mention is the accumulation of waste elimination. Even after 1987 up to 2000, it took about 15 years. Single step of the elimination of waste may take half year, 1 year, and another step may take another year. But year to year, CORE tried to reduce wasteful operations and try to squeeze the lead time. And then for the first time, CORE was qualified to say things about the coordination with nature, enjoy the growth with the competitive environment. We need to pay back to the employees. We need to pay back to the well region itself. Otherwise, the company may have to try to find some way to survive. But after year 2000, Core completely changed the mode to coordinate with the nature. But this is a fruit brought by the elimination of waste for nearly 15 years during the period of 1985 up to year 2000. That is one lesson. Next slide, please. Next slide is a similar thing, continuity or consistency. Core's activity, KPS, started in 1987, and actually its KPS activity is still in progress. And recently realized very low cost, handmade, fully automated production line, but without any sophisticated machineries. All machines were produced in-house, very low cost, very small, well, very amateur, not high technology, but almost no maintenance cost. So that sort of low price, small, full automated, low cost assembly line is another strength of the core, which was realized after 10 years of trial and error period. And therefore, consistency, belief, continuity is very important. Otherwise, we need to fluctuate this way or another, well, a COVID-19 or something another. We cannot bring big fruit to the management. That is my understanding. Next slide, please. And next slide, I want to say commitment by top management. Top management of Kowa, similar to Toyota, they visit shop floors on site and they believe in hands-on principles. Top management should visit manufacturing or actual sales site and talk with employees. That is one thing I want to stress regarding the attitude of the business school, rather than thinking about the success of strategic activities. We need to think about the value of the talk discussion between top management and shop floor workers. That is that can create a sort of solidarity between top management and line workers and operators and salespeople that can create a sort of a very strong, vivid corporate culture that we cannot bring from the only desk theory. Therefore, next summary slide, please. Yes, today I simply talked about the importance of accumulation of steady kaizen, and this is true before pandemic, especially before pandemic. And if we try to find some way for the growth or success toward the post-pandemic period, actually what we do or what we have done during or before the pandemic period may decide the future of our life or the result of companies even after pandemic period. And therefore, belief or commitment by top management toward this direction is really important and essential. But this sort of lesson is not often discussed in the strategic arena of the business school curriculum. Therefore, I want to bring some sort of flavor out of Japanese manufacturing companies to think about the future of our daily life and our society to survive and to be safe enough and to be happy enough for our global activity, and that is my motivation to uh, have brought myself to this stage. And I want to welcome your questions in during now the rest 4 minutes. I'm sorry, I only left 4 minutes.
Thank you very much indeed, Dean Kono, for a really interesting presentation. Fascinating to see the view from Japan. We do only have about 4 minutes left for questions, so I just want to feed one through from Stefano, who says that everybody recognizes that TPS is a fabulous system, but why, in your opinion, do Western companies fail to apply it in a systematic way and struggle to get results from it? Is it a matter of culture, or is there something else?
Okay, it's a sort of the belief of the top management. Well, long-term perspective is very important, very difficult, but very important. And we believe in our Japanese management style that the top management will continue their position at least 5 years, 7 years, in Toyota's case, sometimes 10 years. Therefore, mid to long term, 5 to 10 year period from now is very important. And actually, more important is the 20, 30 years from now. So the period of the top management is to think about the 20, 30 years from now, probably after retirement. That is for the sake of the next generation. That is my belief. And that is the sort of belief of many Japanese companies and the many Japanese people. That this is slightly different, if I'm allowed to say.
So real long-term planning. And one last question from somebody called Jose de la Torre. I don't know, we all know who Jose is. And Jose is saying, would you comment on the impact of the shortfall in semiconductor production and availability and the effect that has had on supply chains and the capacity of companies like Toyota to maintain their production system in the face of this challenge?
Okay. Even for the Toyota, semiconductor shortage affects negatively. Some in the major plant last month, Toyota closed for 4 days of their operation because of the shortage of the semiconductor. But at the same time, Toyota closed the factory very rapidly, and they tried to find some solution, second source, third source. Therefore, they are very quick for the recovery. From this month, next month, there is no damage. And for other manufacturing companies, other automobile companies, they are trying to find some way and try to survive. And at the end, they will receive some more big impact. That is my belief. Therefore, if we find problem, then now we move very quickly. Then now in the long term, production operation is very stable. That is the belief of the Toyota. That is my answer.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I would like to just thank you once again on behalf of the consortium. I don't know how many of our delegates realize it, but we're coming up to 11 o'clock at night in Tokyo. So thank you so much indeed, Dean Kono, for being with us at this point. Just a couple of quick announcements. In a minute, we will be I'll ask you to go back to the timeline and join the next session, which is coming live from Ducati in Italy. And after the end of that session, we will be having a breakout, or rather a coffee break, which is rather different in that it will last 30 minutes and allow you to meet in larger groups. And we very much hope you will come into that, exchange your ideas and views before we move on to the last presentation of the day, Professor David Denyer from Cranfield talking about resilience. And you may remember, if you were with us earlier today, that Martin Butler cited him and his work. So I hope that is something that you will join in due course. But on behalf of the consortium, I'd like to thank Dean Kono for a really interesting presentation. And I will now close this session and ask you to return to the timeline and go in due course to Ducati. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.